Hello, heretics. Welcome to Men Metal Mayhem, the podcast where the brothers men take a deep dive into the discographies of our favorite metal bands. I'm your host, Brother Paul, joined as ever by my two brothers and co-hosts, Brother John.
Hey guys, still fuck ice.
And Brother Dave.
Good morrow.
Season 4 Blasphemers, we are diving into the world of blasphemous and anti-religious metal, and today we are discussing Onslaught's 2011 album, Sounds of Violence. Join us as we head into the abyss. Released January 28th, 2011. Brother John, give us the top hits of the day, tell us what you were up to, and hit us with your album highlight.
Oh, with pleasure, Brother Paul. Number one, I think we all know this ditty, Firework by Katy Perry. What a classic. Number two, my girl Kesha with We Are Who We Are. And I got to give a special shout out to number 24, the Flow Rida Jam, Club Can't Handle Me. And this one is so funny because like whenever Sadie and I like this song comes on or we think about this song or it comes up or whatever, we just imagine the club can't handle you because you are completely wasted. You're a wreck. You're a mess and you're going wild. It's like the club can't even handle me right now. So that's like the image that we get of like what that song's all about. And also another special shout out to number 35, Black and Yellow by Wiz Khalifa, but only so that I can talk about the sort of alternate takeoff version of that song. So like to give a little context, the 2010 to 2011 football season, the Steelers met the Packers in the Super Bowl, which would have been like the beginning of February of 2011. And so Black and Yellow was the Steelers hype song. But Lil Wayne, a big Packers fan, made a response called Green and Yellow in the run-up to their Super Bowl victory against the Steelers. Oh, and I have in my notes, it was on February 6, 2011. So, go Pack, go. And other than watching the Packers beat the Steelers right around that time, I was looking back at what was happening at this time in my life. And this beginning of 2011, Wisconsin's Act 10, the controversial legislation that stripped most public employees of collective bargaining rights, was signed into law by Governor Scott Walker on March 11th of 2011. So, and the passage of that bill led to massive months-long protests at the Wisconsin State Capitol, kind of all throughout that spring, and like, I guess, late winter into spring. So right around that time that this album came out, that was all going on, and I went down to the Capitol once, I think, only because, it's like an hour and a half drive, so it's not like it was right in my town. But I went down there to assist with the protest, but ultimately didn't really help because that legislation passed. The corrupt state GOP didn't give a shit about what was good for the people. And it still persists to this day, though I do believe some people are trying to challenge it. So, more power to the people for what that's worth. Brother Dave, 2011.
Do you have a 2011 album?
I do. It's farther down in my notes. Oh man. Speaking of albums from 2011, I have a short list that I've been compiling so I don't have to like re-explore all the albums that came out in the years because we'll continue to do this. And I had like 8 or 9 on my short list for 2011. So it was a good year for albums, but one jumped to the top, and that was The Haunted's 2011 opus Unseen. And I listened to that. I had not listened to that one in a while, so I put it back on as I was deciding, okay, what do I want to talk about here? And man, that album is so chock full of stanky grooves, and it just has a lot of interesting vocal melodies and just like an interesting way that he does the vocals, like his cadence and meter maybe and rhyme schemes and stuff like that. Just doesn't really sound like a lot of anything else that I've listened to. So I highly recommend that one. Check it out. Okay, now, yeah. Brother Dave, 2011. What was going on?
2011, I had been in Arizona for 2 years. I think I was probably working at the coffee shop on Mills End, but it was probably in 2011 that they randomly closed, and then I was out of a job.
They didn't
Uh,
even tell you, right?
yeah, I just showed up
Just
one
showed
day
up.
for my shift, and it was closed.
Eviction notice.
Real dumb stuff, but then,
So stupid. So funny.
yeah, uh,
Mm.
employment. Who needs it? Stupid. Um, But what else happened in 2011 was Scurrilous by Protest the Hero came out, and that album slaps. It was my first introduction to the band, and though it would be a couple more years before I would hear about them from our mutual friend Kevin Weist. And I mean, this album I think is when Protest the Hero kind of stops dev not stops developing their sound. They lock in what their sound is. Their first albums are a little bit rough and a little harder to listen to, but this one is incredibly listenable, and just like full of stanky noodling and great vocals, great compositions. Everything about this album is great. And so you should listen to it.
Do it. Oh man, so 2011, I believe summer 2011 is the last time we went down to the grandparents' old condo in Florida. I have my dates right, Brother John. You and I drove down there together, and Brother Dave, I think you flew in, and then Sisters Julia and Rebecca both joined us later on in the week. And at one point, I know I had written down how much alcohol we bought the first night we got there because even at that time, I knew it was kind of a ridiculous amount.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I have a picture of the back of the car open because that was probably I had my 2005 Malibu Max. I'm certain that's what I was
mhm.
driving at the time. Loved that car, but yeah, it's like a hatchback, so it was open and just like the whole back was full of booze. I can try to find that picture
Okay,
and send it to
it
you.
was outrageous, and so
It was unnecessary, but
hey
that's how we rolled at that time.
we spent the week just getting wasted and playing Can Jam on the beach, and it was a
Oh, I
lot of
forgot
fun.
about that. That's awesome.
It was a lot of fun, but I'm kind of glad that time of my life is done.
Yeah.
It was.
I mean, yeah, way too drunk. Oh, well, because somebody, well, maybe we shouldn't go into the details, but like somebody got so drunk and they slipped. I think it was wet on the thing and went like through a glass table.
I know who that somebody was.
I also
They
know who
shall
that
remain
somebody was.
nameless. But nobody was injured from that, which is crazy because there's
No,
glass everywhere.
and
Like nobody severed an artery, but easily they could have. Oh my God.
yeah, we
And
were.
I think there's probably like barf that happened too. I don't
Yeah,
remember all the details, but it was a great time.
it sure was. But boy, 2011 did have some amazing albums, and I am going to go with SubRosa and their album "No Help for the Mighty Ones." One of my absolute favorite bands. This is fuzzy, sludgy doom mixed with violins and just fantastic female vocals. It's a sprawling album full of just like crushing riffs. But actually, the highlight might be their 3 minute long a cappella version of a traditional folk song from the 17th century, which is just like haunting and really good. I truly cannot recommend Sub Rosa highly enough. They're fantastic. So let's move on to the contemporaries of Onslaught. And in 2011, the band Artillery came out with the album My Blood. And they are a Danish thrash band who has been around since the 80s. And this album though it came out in 2011, is very 80s coded with some of those classic heavy kind of power metal influences mixed in with the thrash. And apparently this is one of their weaker albums, but I liked it. It was fine. I was like, okay, I get this. And then the other one I picked out is the band Toxic Holocaust and their album Conjure and Command. This is blackened crossover thrash. And I actually saw them tour for this album alongside the Black Dahlia Murder in 2011. And they were fantastic live. And this album's just a ripper. It harkens back to that kind of late 80s, early 90s crossover thrash, but without sounding dated. And then in other metal news, this is the year that Jeff Hanneman of Slayer caught necrotizing fasciitis in his arm. And having watched ER and The Pit, neck fash is like literally one of the scariest diseases you can have. It's
Mhm.
fast spreading and just impossible to contain most of the time. And I believe Daniel Gildenlow of Pain and Salvation also caught neck fash.
That does kind of sound
Yeah,
familiar.
there's a couple kind of high profile musicians who have caught it, and it's like if this had progressed a little further, I'd have to have my arm amputated and would never be a musician again. So,
Whew.
yeah.
Jeez.
So moving on to the personnel, I do want to note that Onslaught originally formed in 1982. Then they disbanded in 1991 and then reformed in 2005. So just a little context there. And playing on this album, we have Nige Rocket on guitars. He is one of the original founders from 1982, and he's the primary lyricist and songwriter. We have Steve Grice, drums, and he is the other original founder. And then we have Cy Keeler on vocals, and he's not the original vocalist, but he is their longest serving. And this is his second stint with the band. He keeps quitting, and then he gets pulled right back in because he he quits again after in like 2015 or something, and now he's back in the band. So he just can't
Oh yeah,
stop.
on Metal Storm it says from 85 to 88, then from '05 to 2020, and then 2025
Yeah.
again to present.
Yep. So and then we have Andy Rosser Davies on guitar. He is their third guitarist by this point. And then finally we have Jeff Williams on bass, their fifth bass player by this point. And this is produced by Jacob Hansen, a Danish producer with a very extensive resume. He seemingly has done all of Mercenaries' albums. So that's a fun little connection there. And it was released via AFM Records. And I mentioned that I'd turn to social media to help get this season a little more diversity rather than 8 albums of melodic black metal from 2000 to 2002. And our good
And
friend,
thank you again for doing
yes,
that.
yes.
Thank you.
Our good friend Tim Bolitho-Jones of the Didn't Go Platinum podcast came through with this recommendation. I had absolutely no familiarity with these guys whatsoever. Like they weren't even on the long list that I, eventually had put together. But I mean, Tim knows his stuff. And on Metal Archives, under the themes category, the topics were death, violence, Satan. So let's see what we're in for. This album is 10 standard tracks with one bonus cover song, just under 48 minutes, and it kicks off with track number 1, Into the Abyss. Brother John.
All right. Well, here we have a nice epic building sounding intro with some sort of marching sounding snare drums. It's got swelling orchestral elements. And as I hear this, well, just as you were saying, I had never even heard of this band, so I didn't know anything to expect. And also, I knew that they were thrash because I think you had probably mentioned that, but I didn't really read anything about them before listening. And I don't listen to much thrash. I'm not super familiar with the genre, but I was like listening to this intro, I was like, okay, color me excited because this sounds pretty cool. So what's going to happen next? That was my initial thought.
Yeah, I mean, I like this. It is ominous, kind of that Marshall snare drum with
Hmm.
like ambiance going on. So I'm like, all right, let's see what direction this goes, Brother Dave.
Yep. Same thoughts. It's a good intro. It hypes you up for something that's about to happen.
Yeah, well, that takes us to track number two, Born for War. Brother John, continue.
All right. So, in a situation basically identical to what we've heard a couple of times previously in this season, the first actual song here, it just sounds like a drop off in the production quality from the intro song. It's so weird. It's like, why do these bands keep having like a really well produced, like full sounding intro? And then the song comes on and it's like you got to turn it up a little bit to kind of match that same intensity. So I thought that was weird because it just didn't have the same punch as what you're expecting as you hear the transition. But I will say, just turn it up a bit because this song slaps. It is
Mm.
fast, thrashy, aggressive, groovy. It's got it all. I like this song a lot. And honestly, I guess I didn't really write down a lot of specific notes other than I will open up our segment, Sick Riffs and Tasty Licks,
I can also play some pretty hot licks too.
for at 2 minutes and 41 seconds. They get into this solo and they are shredding hard. The whole song shreds. Dare I say, this song fucks? I mean, this is a good song. And I don't think we were gonna really dive. We didn't like peg this one for lyrical tactics, but I wanted to dive into the lyrics a little bit because on my first listen through, it's really prominent where he's saying the part "bored for war," and it sounds pretty awesome. And I was like, man, this song is cool as fuck, but I don't really want to be born for war. Like, I better read the lyrics and see what are they talking about? Because at first it's like, are they trying to glorify war and a warrior ethos with the whole born for war thing? And I was like, I don't, war doesn't really deserve to be glorified because it's terrible. And, there's a lot of it that's been going on lately and it's all pretty fucked up. So today I finally sat down and read through the lyrics as I listened. I was like, oh, whew. Actually, this is a commentary on how fucked up war is and power structures sending people to die in war. There's a line, the brutalization of civilization, expanding the threshold of power. So, that made me, I was relieved when I dove into the
Hmm.
lyrics a bit more and was like, okay,
Hmm.
they have an awesome sounding song that, you know, kicks ass and it actually has a decent message basically saying this is a bad thing that's going on, but they do it in a really cool way. So I love this song. Brother Dave.
Yeah. This one, I didn't so much notice the drop off in quality, even. So I thought it was just straight up thrash, baby. And this is great. It's very very thrash. Like you're getting all of the stuff that comes with the genre, and it's done really well. But they keep it interesting. They keep shifting kind of the timing between fast and slow, and between big chords and like fast frenetic gallops, and then that solo hits, and that solo is sweet, and it sits in the composition so well. I know we had some gripes about how Deicide was doing their solos, but Onslaught, man, they know how to compose a song and like just make it flow really well, and throw in a lot of different riffs. I think the the vocals and the lyrics are going to be the hardest part about this album. Vocally, this is very standard thrash to a certain extent, and that's maybe not exactly my jam. but he does mix it up a fair amount. He's got some highs and some lows, and he does some doubling here and there, which prevents it from feeling one note, but it is still thrash vocals for better or for worse, if that's your thing. And then lyrically, I liked the themes, like John was saying, that this is a song and an album about violence, but it's basically about like violence is bad and like what are the causes of violence, and we'll get into that when we hit some real lyrical tactics.
Mm-hmm.
So like thematically I like it, though it does sometimes tend towards sort of keyword based writing where he says he's just kind of throwing words out there and they're thematically related, but they're not even necessarily a complete thought on their own. It's
I,
it's a vibes based way of writing lyrics that I think is like kind of common in thrash.
I think of When We Did Not Exist, who's, Death
Yeah.
and Thrash, and there's that one song where he just starts listing off religious buzzwords in like the
Yeah.
anti-religious context. It's like you're not making true sense here. You're just saying things that kind of sound like it works. So I,
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying.
And like it's not all the time, but it comes up enough that sometimes I'm like, this is that style that I'm not big on. But overall, this song is pretty rad and I like what I'm hearing. Brother Paul?
Yes, I mean, same. It goes from that real ominous, the Marshall drums on the intro, and then the fucking riffs hit, and it's so good. This is thrash metal, which I mean, I've mentioned. I think I really like thrash metal for the most part. Cy Keeler's voice, I think, is fan fucking tastic. It's flawless to me. He's doing enough to keep it interesting, so it's not just like the one level. He's got the
Mhm.
highs, he's got the lows, he's got kind of his dark gutturals. He ends the song with an extended scream of war. It's so good. I will never match it. But God, it's so good. That solo. I mean, we've all called it out. It's so good. This is a perfectly composed song. Um, I think it's great. I think it's peak thrash. And to the point that you boys have talked about, it's talking about war and sort of the horrors and the reality of it and how it's not great. In college, I took a history class about modern history, and I remember I wrote a paper about how the Cold War and the threat of nuclear annihilation like had seeped into a bunch of metal bands in the 80s. So because I mean like all the thrash bands at the time sung about nuclear
Mhm.
annihilation and total war. Like that was because that was their reality. And so,
Mhm.
even in because these guys were formed in the 80s, so I'm sure that played a huge role in their lives was living under the threat of extinction. So I find that interesting, and I think that is what really defines thrash to me lyrically is war and devastation and violence. So let us move on to track number 3, The Sound of Violence. Brother Dave.
Within the sound of violence. We immediately we start off with uh a technique that you'll hear every now and then. It reminded me a bit of The Haunted, actually, where they have kind of that radio-esque vocal distortion
Mm-hmm.
kind of buried a little bit in the mix. We get a really bouncy main riff. It's just like this band does groovy thrash really well. specifically at 144. They do a good job of keeping a relatively repetitive riff interesting by like throwing on multiple endings, which obviously not something unique to Onslaught, but I think they execute it really well. And again, we get a nice solo at 236 that just sits really well in the composition. I think it particularly works with the rhythm guitars, where it's sometimes doing like a call and response thing, sometimes it's accenting the big hits on the rhythm guitar. They just like it's really well orchestrated together. And that's what I think of that, Brother John.
Yeah. So on my first listen through, my comment on this one was that it has a nice flow and a groove to it. And like you said, it's like groovy thrash. It's like kind of hooking you in a little bit. And I was just noticing right out of the gate on my listen of this album that it is immediately way more accessible than I thought Deicide, The Stench of Redemption was. And I just really enjoyed this one every time I listened to it. Although, like I said last week, Deicide, I enjoyed it more and more the more I listened to it. But this one hit me in the sweet spot right away. And for every listen thereafter, I listened to it like probably 10 or 12 times over the last week. So there's another song calling out the horrors of war and violence. And it was written back in 2011. So I was kind of wondering, like, were they referring to a specific conflict or just commentary generally on how these things are and like the state of human civilization since the dawn of time, basically. But as far as the song goes, they lay another sick ass solo on us at 2 minutes and 36 seconds. That was some good stuff. And when they go into the chorus where they're like, this is the sound of violence, there's this big bass drop, which just makes it sound extra big and cool. It's like, so that was fun. So I like that. Brother Paul?
Yeah, I called out that same big bass drop. It almost sounds a bit like thunder going into the
Yeah.
chorus. It's
Yep.
so good. You know you're getting there. I Brother Dave called out the vocal effect they use on the verses. I don't necessarily love that effect. I know it sometimes it works. Yeah, when you said the Haunted does it, I'm like, yeah, they do. It's one of those ones. It doesn't turn me off. I don't love it. Uh, but the pre-chorus,
It's one of those things, use it sparingly.
yes. But the
Like
pre
hand claps.
Get the fuck out of here. Oh, the pre-chorus goes so hard. The deny, dictate, resolution fueled by hate. He spits that line out. It's so good. And then, I mean, that chorus is amazing. And then right before he goes into the solo, he does the repeated like, "Don't stop the noise inside my head. Don't stop the noise inside my head." Like he's going crazy. Uh, it's awesome. This is another really good song. And boys, they made a video for it, so it is time to open up our segment I like to call Video Killed the Thrash Metal Star. And this is our favorite type of video because the band is playing in like a big empty room. And but there's a twist because they have interspersed archival footage of war, which is awesome. And sometimes there is a guy, and I assume it's Cy Keeler, wearing a gas mask. And then also I think it's Nige Rocket gives the camera some demented looks while he's playing guitar. And that's the video. What more do
Yep.
you need?
And it also, like right towards the beginning, it looks like World War II footage, and they show a nuclear bomb going off. Probably just a test, I would assume, but still, kicking it off with the bang. And there are many shots of people in various wars and conflicts with gas masks on, but then he also has one for certain
Yeah.
shots
Yep.
in the live playing. So, yeah, I thought it was fun.
No.
And in addition to all that stuff, They also put on that like VHS tape tracking effect, so it would sometimes like move off the top of the screen and then come into the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
And everything was very shaky.
Hell yeah. I have no regrets about watching this video. 5 minutes well spent. Which takes us to track number 4, Code Black. This one has such a crunchy groove to it. And they do this thing where they do a slight pause right before they go into the verses. And it's like this small thing that they do. It's so effective, though. We get another banger of a solo. They really know how to write it and slot it in. And when they exit the solo at 350, they let the guitars ring out over some real crunchy, dirty bass. And I love that. And I do like the guitar that they're doing in the pre-chorus. I mean, again, overall, just another absolute banger. Brother Dave.
This is another one that I thought was reminiscent of The Haunted, especially in the intro where it comes fading in with shredding. I swear The Haunted has done the exact same thing. They've got very similar tone on their guitars.
Mm-hmm.
And The Haunted is very thrash influenced.
Yes.
So just like stylistically, and I love The Haunted. So it was apt that Brother John called him out at the beginning of the show. Yeah, this one's good. It's a little slower pace and it's kind of carried by big chugs. So it does give us a bit of variety in the speed that we're going. We keep up that really groovy chorus riffing. And I mean, you called out that part at 351, but I feel like it deserves a true bring the mosh moment. Because that is just a stanky bass breakdown. It's so much rattling and distortion on the bass. It's almost too much, but it works so well. I like what they did here, Brother John.
Yeah, I mean, like everything you guys said and then some, because like Brother Dave, you called out how they kind of fade in this wailing guitar shred. And then at 26 seconds, they change it up and they go to some big, slow, punchy chugs and driving drums, kind of like a classic breakdown at that part, like before they even really get into the song very much. Thought that was pretty cool. And yeah, that solo slaps. Then they do that bass, stanky bass part you're talking about. But then from there, they kind of go to this grinding chug that just blasts the deepest part of our souls. It's like, oh my God, this song is awesome. And I got to also open up our segment, Growls and Howls. I mean, we've talked about this guy's vocals, but I really like this guy's voice. So I'm in Brother Paul's camp. When it comes to that, I'm really digging the sound, the tone of his growls. Just sounds really nice. Very good. And the part in this song where he says, "There is no turning back. The code is black." And it's just so powerful and brutal. I was like, damn. There is no turning back. The code is black. Another song here about this one, basically about a violent, oppressive regime taking over. And it was kind of giving me mega trauma because that's kind of what we see them doing to America right now in real time. You know, it hasn't become super duper devastating yet, but it's getting there. Again, tale as old as time, but it sucks. It seems a lot of sane people are not able to do much about it. And a lot of people actively want that to be our reality. So, you know, these guys were writing about it back in 2011. It's happened many times in many places. But reading about these kind of things in the lyrics, it's like, oh, shit, that's what's happening in our country right now.
Well, that takes us to track number 5, Rest in Pieces, Brother Dave.
Well, we had a slightly slower, groovier song, but we are back to frantic
That's
with
why
this
I
one,
chose
boys.
you.
Uh, we do get a punk beat at 56 seconds, and that does kind of feature relatively prominently on this song, for better or for worse. This song, more so than the other ones so far, feels a little more like a bunch of riffs stitched together to me. I think it is that punk section that the transition doesn't super work for me. And then they transition into it, which is a little rough. And then they transition out of it into the chorus, which just doesn't really have the same flow that I've come to expect from the other songs. Like it technically flows, but I'm not feeling it the same way. That said, the solo at 3 minutes still shreds, and I particularly like the riff at 3:28, where when they're coming out of the solo and it's a little more subdued before they go back into the final verse. I think that works really well. At 4 real songs in now, I am starting to feel there's a bit of a formulaic nature to the songwriting here. They stick really closely to traditional pop song structures, right? It's like verse, chorus, a solo slash bridge, and then another verse, chorus, or some close variation of that. And the lyrics themselves are very repetitive. And, I'm liking it, but I hope that we can get a little bit of variety there so that it doesn't get samey by the end. Brother Paul?
Hey, I hear what you're saying, and I think it's valid what you're saying. I got no problem with any of this.
Here, here.
I like the sped up vocals that he does on the pre-chorus, like the Master of the Perfect Death, sadistically insane, an angel at the gates of hell, embrace to kill again. Like he's going real fast at that part. And then he goes into the chorus with the rest in pieces. It's so good. His voice is fantastic. Um, I love I love the end of this song. It has a really nice outro. Um, God, looking at the lyrics, there's so many parts of the song that stand out when he says the no one ever feels your pain. No one even knows your fucking name. No fucking name. I love this song. Yes, there is that punk beat. I don't mind it. This one
Dave
works.
just doesn't like punk. It's been a recurring theme.
It is true.
Oh.
But you guys did not call out that the opening drum fill just to lead into this song is sick as fuck. That's why I'm here to point this out. And at 1:16 they do a hard stop and then launch right back into it. The classic Soilwork stop, if you want to call it that. And I think everything else in my notes you pretty much mentioned, except both of you failed to make note of how this is another NAD blaster. So,
We did forget that. A real bag blaster.
I give this one my
my
stamp
bad.
of approval. So I'm in Brother Paul's camp on this one.
Oh, well, that takes us to track number 6, Godhead. I like how this one basically starts with a guitar solo. Real quick out the gate. I love when bands just go for it right away. And then it goes into this real groovy riff. And then there's the chorus. And it is simple, but it is undeniably catchy. And then you move back to this like really catchy verse that just bounces. Really, I love it.
Mhm.
And I'm going to call out our segment Growls and Howls. Because from 220 to 227, he exits the chorus and just holds evil for like 7 seconds. and it's so fucking great. The bridge on this song is a banger. Start to finish, this song, Fox, it's so good. Brother John.
Yeah, I really like the intro, the guitar riff, the drum pattern on this one. It's heavy, blasty, brutal. And then they do, like you were saying, they add in that sick guitar lead over the top. It's like, holy shit, nice. Um, they give us a rad double kick part where they get into the chorus at the Children of God part. And I really was loving his vocal delivery where he's like leper, liar, thief. That part, I mean, yeah, just throughout like every song, his vocals are just good. I like this guy. I gotta check out some of their other stuff that he's been on, which I guess is maybe like half their stuff. But yeah, I really like this guy's voice. That's all I've got about the music. I've got some notes about the lyrics, but Dave, why don't you fill us in on any musical stuff we missed before we talk about those lyrics?
You guys hit the big ones. That intro solo is so good. We get some sweep picking and a juicy dive bomb right out the gate. The lyrical delivery on this one is fun. Like it's really bouncy, the verses, and then the chorus is just iconic. Uh, if you hadn't called out the growls and howls, I was going to at that exact same spot.
Nice.
So you know it's good. And I don't think either of you talked about the solo on this one, which I really liked actually. Around 2:30, the solo kind of chills out and jams for a while on what sounded to my ears like a Phrygian scale, which I really liked. And Phrygian is fun because it's the first couple of notes of it are similar to something like the Byzantine scale, something a little more exotic, while still technically being one of the seven modes of the major scale. So it's a fun one. And then it launches into a shred fest again. And we get like a minute of soloing on this one. Their solos have usually been a little short, like in the 20 to 30-second range. And so I like that they just opened it up and went wild. And then lastly, we have been talking about his vocals, and they have grown on me over the course of listening to this several times in this past week. And 350, I think, shows kind of how he spices up his vocal delivery in a couple of different ways. He's got a broad range of things that he does, right? He does doubling with highs and lows, and that's all shown off in this section. Yeah, musically, this one's a lot of fun. And lyrically, we got some potential blasphemy on the line here. So I think it's probably time to open up our section, lyrical tactics, vocal gymnastics.
Lyrical tactics, vocal gymnastics.
Well, how about you kick us off and then Brother John?
I would love to kick us off. One thing about his lyrics is there's not a whole lot of metaphor in it. He basically says what he's thinking, and he is not mincing any words when he says, Jesus is religion so pure, eternal supplication to the son of a whore. And that's where we start.
Lays into the anti-Jesus sentiment a little bit hard on that one.
He starts at 11. There is, yeah.
And just like evangelizing masses with a vision of war, which, I mean, that is 100% what's going on in the US right now, where we've got insane religious fanatics in charge of our military. Infectious propaganda is the killer of the cure. And I mean, like, it's just spot on, direct. He doesn't fuck around. And then the chorus is so good, basically saying that Christians, the children of God, they pretend that they see no evil, that they hear no evil, that nothing they do is evil. But like they're full of shit and they are like legitimately evil people.
Pure
And
fucking evil.
Yeah.
pure fucking evil. Yeah. And I like the directness of this song. And yeah, no notes. Brother John.
Yeah, I mean, don't know if there's anything much else to say, but we'll say it. But yeah, Christian propaganda is being used to sway religious people to go along with this mega stuff today, and it never has and never will make sense to me. It's absolutely insane, but that's how it's been. I mean, over the history of the world, I think, like the Crusades, same thing. It's like Christians going to slaughter people, the Native Americans, Christians using like religion and God as justification to commit atrocities and commit genocide. Just truly horrific stuff. And then you get like kindly religious folks. They don't have any individual power, but they just go along with it instead of there being a mass revolt against this obvious evil being perpetrated. I don't get why that's possible, but people, I guess, are sheep or something. I'm not sure. It stresses me out when I try to think about it too much and when I try to figure it out because I don't think it will ever make sense to me. Yeah. So when religion is mixed with political control, these are the results you get: mass atrocities. Paul, did we miss anything?
No. So I the older I get and the more I read about religious institutions, like there is no skill that evangelicals and Christians have than ignoring their own sins while simultaneously seeing the faults in everybody else. I mean, there's so many high profile cases in the church of just rampant sexual, emotional, physical abuse. And a lot of times pastors might get shuffled around or like forced to retire, but there's ultimately not a ton of consequence. And a lot of times the congregation will back the abuser over the victim. And it's so widespread that, like, as I get older, I mean, there is no other words to use other than, I mean, it's pure fucking evil. Like, that is the structure of a lot of the church. And I mean, it's funny because there's a very famous Bible verse that is about how religious folks will notice the speck in their own brother's eye, but yet ignore the plank in their very own. And I think Onslaught and Cy Keeler just knocked it out of the park with this one. I'd be curious to see what the response would be from, like, if a Christian listened to this song, some pastor or whatever is like, what do you have to say about this? Like, they're not wrong. Right?
They're not
Well,
wrong.
The
Yeah, where's the
evangelical
line?
would focus on that first line.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be calling Mary a whore.
Right.
That's weird sexual language. You should leave that out. And they would completely ignore the message of the song.
Yep. Yes. And as they sing, I'll see you all in hell. I love this song. I think these lyrics are great. And they're direct, as Brother Dave said. But now it is time to move on to track number 7, Hate Box, Brother John.
Yeah, well, I like this song. I don't have a ton of notes about it, but one fun thing that I noticed at 37 seconds, there's like some high droning on the guitar and a cool chugging pattern from the other guitar. It's only for like maybe 8, 9 seconds, something like that. 6, 7 seconds.
Get the
I
fuck out of here.
I thought that part was really cool. And yeah, the song, just more fun grooves and just pummeling riffs. And I have in my notes, it's a real beanbag blaster. And then another fun vocal thing from about 241 to 246. So like about 5 seconds, he holds out, he's growling the lyrics, "You can burn with me in hell," but he's like, "Hell." He holds out the hell for like 5 seconds. And that was pretty awesome. Brother Dave?
I was also gonna call out that "You Can Burn with Me in Hell" because it is awesome. The this song is great. It does fall into some kind of repetitive behaviors. Even in the intro, before they put on that dissonant guitar over the top, which is rad, they repeat the riff like 4 or 8 times or something, and I'm like, man, they gotta start mixing something up. And then they do, so that's good. Uh, I think the pre-chorus is kind of the standout vocal part of this, where he says, "You want to start a fucking war." Just great delivery on that. And then the chorus is a lot of fun with "Viva la hate." It's kind of silly to an extent, but fun. It does get repeated a lot during the nearly 5 minutes of runtime here, but overall, still a great song. Brother Paul.
Boys, I have nothing to add. You have called everything out. I think the one thing I want to say, that first 45 seconds is so good. It's just so riffy and awesome. And then Psy-Keeler comes in and it gets somehow even better. You want to start a fucking war? Yeah, I do. I'll go to war for you boys.
Yeah. I will ignore the themes of this album and
Yeah.
start a war for you, Psy-Keeler.
Yep. Another ripper of a solo. This one just, it fucking slaps. It's so good. Which takes us to track number 8, Anti-Theist. Brother Dave.
This one starts off with a little more of that non-Western Byzantine flavor, and it just slaps. The solo at 325, we get some sweeps and whammy shenanigans. It ends in a dive bomb. We got all the classic hits going on in this solo, and I love it. And then at 425, "Reject the pain I suffer. My life was never yours to steal" flows really well into the following riff. These guys are really good at flow within their songs between their riffs. I like a lot of the stuff they're doing here. At 6 minutes and 33 seconds, this one is a little bit long, but it can be forgiven. Brother John?
Yeah, the intro riff on this one, it's got that Middle Eastern flair to it, and I really like that. And again, it's just another song with great grooves. They got me tapping my foot, playing the finger drums with like every song on this album so far. 330, they got another cool solo, and at parts, the drums are kind of mixing up what they're doing during the solo, but at parts there's like this pummeling double kick stuff, and it just sounds good, you know? I love it. Brother Paul?
Yeah, so I like they do like the kind of harmonized guitar coming in at 56 seconds. This song, it's pretty mid-tempo, and it is one of the longer songs. So you kind of feel that, but God, there is so much pent-up anger in his voice as he sings this. So, I mean, well, slight lyrical tactics. Like this is just about him being raised Christian and how it deeply scarred him and damaged him and how much fucking anger he feels about that. And fuck religion and fuck your God, fuck the Bible and fuck your cross. I'm scarred. Like that could be the lyrics for so many, like millions of people, like people I know, those words resonate so loudly with so many people who were raised in the church. And that's kind of fucked up when you think about it. Lyrically, we only have two songs that touch on religion. They both hit fucking hard. Like they go for the
Hmm.
throat on the songs where they do sing about it.
Yeah. He's not
Um,
mincing any words when it comes to his thoughts.
no, yeah. And then so just back to musically, his voice, there's anger, it's robust as ever. And that solo at like 325, it's whammy shenanigans. And it's as if they do a dive bomb and then bring it up to start the solo. And it's really fun. I love that that's how they start the solo. Uh yes, I like this song. Do I wish it was maybe a tad shorter? Yeah, but that's the one thing I'll say negative about it. Which brings us to track number 9, Suicideology. And after the down tempo, Anti-Theist, we are back to just another fast thrash classic. I love the noodling that they do in this song. They add some really good flourishes on the chorus. There are a lot of fun whammy dive bombs on the solo. I mean, I wouldn't have that any other way. It's just a fun song. Brother John.
Yeah, the riff at the beginning here, like mainly starting at about 30 seconds when the drums start slapping hard, just another sick riff and tasty lick. And then at 248, they got another tasty guitar line. It's kind of like medium speed finger tapping. And I always like that kind of stuff. That shows up like in a lot of metalcore stuff too, but I always enjoy some nice melodic finger tapping stuff. And then at around 326, they do like the big drum hits where you're like hitting the kick and the cymbal, and then you like hold the cymbal, so it's like kind of a quick attack on the cymbal or whatever, and just like a sharp blast. And then they launch into more wild guitar stuff over some fast drums. Great musical interlude at that part, and at the end it crescendos and just kind of ends on a bang. So again, no complaints. Another great song. They're 8 for 8 on the songs that aren't the intro. I mean, and the intro was good too, but like as far as the real songs, 8 for 8 in my book.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that this one's kind of a little more of the same, but it's more of the same in a good way. They're doing fun stuff. I think it maybe doesn't stand out as much against some of the other songs, but you boys mentioned these fun parts. There's another part that stood out to me at 26 seconds where they have the kind of stripped out guitar kind of in the background and then they double it. Another thing that reminded me of The Haunted. And if you're reminding me of The Haunted, you're doing things right. And otherwise, musically, this one's just fun. I liked it.
Well, that takes us to the end of the standard album, End of the Storm outro. Brother Dave.
This piano outro was fine. It worked as a closer, but honestly, I think that the definitive ending of Suicidology could have worked just as well as the ender of this album. It's just like have it be over. So this song, it works. but felt maybe even a little unnecessary to me. Brother John?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Like I said, that last Suicide Ideology ends on a bang. That could have been it, but this song sounds nice, so I didn't have any complaints about hearing it. My one great regret, though, is I didn't think to get our resident piano expert, Nora, to chime in on her thoughts. So I'll try to keep that in mind if we come up with more piano songs in the future. But yeah, should have thought of that.
Yeah, do I love it as the outro for this album? I don't know, but it's a fine piece. It feels odd, I think, after such a just thrash ripper of an album to go out on this. It kind of works, but also I kind of think that track number 11, Bomber, which is their Motorhead cover featuring Phil Campbell of Motorhead and Tom Angel Ripper of the band Sodom. I think that should be the ending because this is a really fun cover. I think it's great that they got one of the guys from Motorhead to play on it. It's just fun. It's fast. Oh my God. I think this is a great way to end an album. I love this cover. Brother John.
Yeah, my first note is this is a fun cover, which is exactly what you just
Yes.
said. And like the very first riff that they start with, that's a Metallica riff, right? I guess I'm not totally
It
sure
sounds
what
like
song. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, it's close, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I did not when I first heard it, I didn't realize this was a cover song, but then that guitar change the riff changes up in about 15 seconds and I was like, is this a Snakes and Barrels song?
It's yes.
Turns out it's Motorhead, who I've never really listened to Motorhead before, but it's fun stuff. So maybe I need to give them a little love at some point and see what I've been missing. Brother Dave?
Yeah. This one's way more 80s than anything that happened on
yeah,
the
so
rest of
good.
the album. But it's also close enough to their style that I'm like, I totally understand why this is something that they wanted to cover. And like it fits the theme of the album. It's about war and it's a little less anti-war than the rest of the album, but it's just fun and it sounds like they're jamming out and having a good time. So I like this cover as well.
Nice. Well, now it is time to consult our unpatented blasphemy meter, and to tell us all about it is Dr. Brother Dave.
In our penultimate segment, the blasphemeter.
Blasphemeter?
Close. We decide how vile and subversive this album truly is. Merriam-Webster defines blasphemy as the act of insulting or showing contempt or lack of reverence for God or something sacred. We've put together a 6-tiered ranking system, patent pending, as Brother Paul insinuated, going from 6 all the way down to 1. Of course, we have the truly blasphemous at 6, sacrilegious, an insulting and direct affront to God. At 5, a godless endeavor. No insults here, but the contempt is palpable. And 4, none for me, thanks. Polite refusal to accept God's greatness or divinity. And then we have the purity tests. At 3, you can't say that. Praising the Lord, but maybe being a little too vocal about his institutions. A 2, you're doing it wrong. Only the most stalwart evangelicals would find offense here. And a 1, certified blasphemy free. God has truly blessed this album. And this album is a bit different from everything else we've done this season in that the anti-religious themes aren't the focus of the album. It's really 2 out of the 8 songs are about religion. And while we have passing references to religion in other points, it's not really the focus. And honestly, I think it's a breath of fresh air after the last few albums that we've covered, which I feel like they veer into parody or obsession with how
Hmm.
focused they are on being against God. Because how much is there really to say? And so we get our two songs in and we're good. Godhead and Anti-Theist are both aggressively anti-religion, and they do make some rude claims about Jesus and his mother. They also seem to be lashing out more against the evils of the Christian church and religious trauma than they are making truth claims. However, there's no polite refusal here. They don't mince words, as we've said, when they hit on this topic. And so I'm going to say that this album is a solid five, a godless endeavor. Brother Paul?
Fuck religion and fuck your God. Fuck the Bible and fuck your cross. It is two songs of anti-religion on here, and they both go for the throat. They do not hold back. I think they maybe communicate in two songs what other bands have done across their entire album, and they don't veer into that kind of cheesy, overwrought, like, say Dark Funeral did.
Mm-hmm.
It's you can tell it's deeply personal with them. Um, and I think while maybe it's not, he's not saying things specifically about praising Satan or anything like that. He's so anti anti-Christian. I'm gonna go a bit higher, and I'm gonna say it's a 5.25 because there is such a visceral disdain
Mm-hmm.
and hatred that I think it gives it that extra 0.25. But yeah, these are two songs that do a lot of work, Brother John.
Yeah, I kind of struggled with how exactly to place this in the blasphemeter. On the one hand, he is refusing to accept God's greatness, but he's not doing it politely, like you mentioned, Brother Dave. I mean, and he shows contempt for the Virgin Mary. Like, she's not a horse, she's a virgin. It's a virgin birth. But, like, on the other hand, like, the ultimate point of what he's saying is that religious institutions should not be committing atrocities, and you should not be forcing your religious beliefs on people who don't believe it. Like, stop screwing people up by being terrible. So, from that perspective, the ultimate message is almost like certified blasphemy free, but no evangelical is going to, certainly a stalwart evangelical would. So it could almost fall in any of these, but ultimately I'd put it at a five, a godless endeavor. There's no, and there are insults, sort of, but for the most, it's just like palpable contempt. And he's basically saying, get your religion out of politics, out of world power structures. It's done enough damage and it needs to go. So I can 100% agree with him there. So I guess I'll see him in hell too.
And with that, let's kick it over to our resident rankings expert, Brother John.
All right, you blasphemers, our final segment is Bop or Flop, where we decide, does the album slap or is it crap? We have honed our patented 6-tier ranking system, going from 6 all the way down to 1. We have, of course, the bops, a perfect 6, unassailable. This album is imbued with the power of the Dark Lord himself. A 5, like to stand on that thing. A banger, we could easily listen to again and again. A 4, or that's doable. A very solid album, worth checking out. And there are the flops. A 3, it lacks zazz. A 2, sorry it's not my cup of tea. And a 1, belongs in a garbage can. Well, boys, this album is sick as fuck. It gives us a nice intro, then it pummels us for 8 killer tracks, then gives us a soothing piano outro, and then a fun little tag on cover song at the end. The vocals are on point, brutal, powerful. The guitars bring the face melting shred both in solos and sick ass fucking riffs. And the drums are top notch, laying down a blistering assault from start to finish. And the bass, of course, is the foundation of the band. And we even get some big bass drops that add a little extra zazz. And, just to hammer on the lyrical content again, anti war, anti religious control, anti violent power structures. Sign me up. This album is awesome, and everyone needs to treat themselves to it. This is the surprise hit of the season so far for me from a band I had never even heard of before. I got to give this a perfect 6. Brother Dave?
This is a really good thrash album. I think as time has gone on, I started out with Metallica, but they're maybe even outside of their early albums, maybe aren't really that thrashy compared to the thrashiest of thrash. And so I'm not sure that this genre is my jam, despite how much I like The Haunted. Maybe I like thrash influence more than pure thrash itself. But that said, there's a lot to like here. Like the mix is really good. The playing is tight. The riffs are pretty dang groovy. And there's no weak songs. I feel like even the ones that don't stand out, they're good songs still. Um, like the biggest complaints I have is that maybe some of this could be trimmed down a little bit, but it's a tight like 40 minutes or something like that. It doesn't overstay its welcome by any means. Um, Overall, I think I enjoyed this one a lot. And I'd like to stand on that thing. Give it a 5.0. And I think if you're big into thrash, you'll probably enjoy this one even more than I did. So give it a listen.
Well, one of the subplots of this podcast is that I am becoming an unabashed thrash metal fan. Because growing up, like the only thrash band I listened to was 80s Metallica. But then during our Nevermore season, I listened to a bunch of Testament as kind of a contemporary to Nevermore, and I really liked them. And then earlier this season, I was bullish on The Crown, who have a very strong thrash streak in their music. And it's probably evident by how I talked about this album that I fucking loved it. This whole episode could have been an extended Dan Flashes segment because this album is my exact style. I mean, I could listen to Cy Keeler just read me fucking cooking recipes. Like his voice is so good. That's- this is an easy, perfect 6 for me. This is such an enjoyable album. I am so glad that Tim recommended this. This one has been on repeat for me ever since I threw it on into this season, a couple months back. I love this one. Well, heretics, that's all for this week. Stay tuned for the next episode where we will discuss Hell's 2011 album, Human Remains. Until then, do what thou wilt, my brothers.
Hell yeah, brother.